Hi there YouTube, and welcome to another Eaglemoss Star Trek Starships collection review. This one is the United Earth Starfleet ship Intrepid. So this is an Intrepid type ship launched in the 22nd century, as you can see, 165 meters long. This is part of the Eaglemoss range, which came out once a fortnight. It's issue 44, so this will look quite impressive next to the Prometheus kit, which I bought recently. Another eBay purchase. This time came with both Starship, Intrepid and the magazine. The Intrepid itself appeared in a handful of Star Trek Enterprise episodes. Firstly in the season 2 finale, The Expanse. It's designed as a precursor to the NX-01 Enterprise, so it looks like a bit like the Enterprise, but it's a lot less advanced and does not have a Warp 5 engine. So what's inside the magazine? It's really impressive magazine, as you can tell. There's lots of beautiful artwork here, so you've got a full frontal view of the Intrepid. A bit more detail here. 165 meters long. It's got phase cannons, torpedo launchers, and the captain at the time of this was Ramirez. And yeah, so what's inside the magazine? I've seen this before. So we've got the bit of detail on the Intrepid, designing it, and interviewing Robert Buchanan, and on-screen appearances. So let's see what happens. So a beautiful shot of the Intrepid here. It's one of the Earth's earliest starships, as you can see, and yeah, so not having a Warp 5 engine, didn't travel too far too quickly, but sort of potted around the solar system, as well as, what does it say, Alpha Centauri, Deneva, Terra Nova and Vega. So it's a very similar looking ship to the NX-01 Enterprise, but it has a sort of a half saucer. The two nacelles here are positioned to the sides and sort of lead on front of the saucer section, with the ram scoops shining nice and red here, and the traditional navigational deflector, the front saucer. But it doesn't have the saucer, it has half a saucer, as you can see. So it's a bit more of the CGI ship, and this looks like the season 3, actually no, to light, the very beginning of season 4 episode, where the Enterprise returns to Earth after defeating the Xindi. Shot of the Intrepid losing its nacelle. This is one of the episodes where, in an alternate future, Earth did get destroyed by the Xindi superweapon, and a handful of humans fled away to City Alpha 5. The Enterprise and the Intrepid, one of the sole starships, as it were, being able to support and look after the remaining humans. So further inside, you have a bit more detail. You can see some beautiful artwork here, giving out a few pointers. We've got the nacelles, got sensor pallets, pylons, warp-field governor, and stabilizing fin. A bit more of that here, the sensor pallet again. So yeah, looking really impressive. This is a Warp Delta ship, I see here. They've actually got a 1:2500 scale resin kit of this upstairs. So this is actually a precursor to the Intrepid. It has a sort of a slight flat arrowhead saucer section, as opposed to a half saucer that the Intrepid does. So designing the ship, this is a few of the different concepts that were produced by John Eaves before the production model was built. So very much a precursor to the Enterprise, so I actually quite like that one. It's a little bit nicer than the Intrepid as it already stands. A few more here. You can tell this top left one, it got a lot of criticism to start with. The Enterprise looked a lot like the Akira class starship from First Contact, but you can see where the design lineage came from. Oh, and there's that Warp Delta again. And then Robert Buchanan, he's one of the Star Trek visual effects supervisors. That's interesting, I didn't know that. So I'll read a bit more detail about that. Some shots of the Prometheus attacking the Nebula class ship. And then a bit more about the Challenger Galaxy class ship and the Delta Flyer. and again a bit more about the Intrepid as it appeared in, here we go, the Enterprise episode The Expanse and in Twilight. So the following kit was the Mail-on export vessel, not sure which one's that from, I'll have to find that out, possibly Next Generation. And then here's all the range of the Eaglemoss ships in all their beauty. And on the back of the magazine you have the nice dorsal view of the Intrepid. So let's get on to the model itself and see what it's all about. Packaged in a very similar way to the Prometheus. It comes in a nice case, so you've got the ship itself, which is actually a little bit larger than the Prometheus, so obviously not in the same scale. Little stand, and then there's a black base underneath it. So this is what's included with the kit. You get the ship itself, and then the display stand, and a little plastic clear harness so you can hold the ship up. Underneath you have the Intrepid, it's a nice weighty base again, which is really good. So onto the ship itself. It's lighter than it looks, is the honest answer. However, it's really impressively detailed. The top is plastic, the dorsal section is plastic, and the ventral section is made out of metal by the feel of it. A little colder. A decent sized model. You can tell they've made a really effort in putting on the Aztec detail to give it a bit of a sense of scale. It really does make a big difference. And then, as I was saying in the literature, it's a precursor to the NX class. So you've got the saucer section, but it's only half a saucer, and then the two warp nacelles jump off the sort of engineering section and overlap the saucer with the facades, looking nice and clear and red, nice red plastic, which is good to see. The bridge here in gold paint. Then we have on the edge of the saucer the two RCS thrusters, and of course the navigational deflector. The rear of the model, you can see the two landing bays. There must be four, there's two either side, and then the blue tinted impulse engines. The warp nacelles, being a precursor to the Enterprise, it's not a warp 5 vessel, so they're shown as being larger, with the Enterprise versions being smaller, so I'm assuming more efficient and more powerful, but they fit really well with the overall theme of the Starfleet ships of that time. They look like their sister ships, and this one looks like it's running up to the Enterprise, which is good. Underneath you can see the sensor dome, and lots more Aztecing. Now here what's interesting, I'm not sure how it's willing to come out in the video, but the little black dots are the window ports, which line up really nicely. However, it's not what is not quite as nice on the dorsal. I'll try and get this to focus for you. Unfortunately, the camera won't let me focus on it as much as I wanted to, but the windows don't line up with the tiny little dots that are embedded within the hull, so it's almost like they're a little bit off, up to sort of half a centimetre or so, which is a bit of a shame, but if you're looking at it from this sort of range, you'd never know the difference. You could argue maybe they'd not bother with drilling the little tiny indents into the plastic or the metal to make the windows. It'd be better just to paint them on at this scale, but never mind. It's mass-produced kit, and no one's really going to complain, and I'm being a bit picky. But no, it's really impressive. I really quite like the look of it. I think it's going to look a great little display piece. Let's try and line it up with our base here. So you can see it in flight, as it were. Yeah, looks really, really good. Really pleased with it. So that's the two kits I've got now. That's the Prometheus and the Intrepid. In fact, why don't I put the two of them together so we can have a quick size comparison. So there we go, we have the two ships side by side, the Intrepid and the Prometheus. So being separated by 200 years of Starship design, you can see they're not too dissimilar. It's the same sort of overall family and look and feel. But yeah, really happy with the Intrepid. I think it's a great little kit, and really quite like the Enterprise series. I think it's a shame it got cancelled. Much more rough and ready than the easy lifestyle that these guys have. Everything just works, and don't have to worry about things falling apart. But yeah, so looking forward to getting the Dauntless, and I'll post another update when I get it. Thanks a lot. Bye bye. Hello again. Just a quick side note. I just out of curiosity wanted to see how big the Intrepid was compared to the 1 to 1400 scale NX-01 Enterprise kit that I built a year or so ago. And as you can tell from putting the two side by side, it's really not far off being the same scale, I'd say. The saucer is more or less the same diameter. In fact, the Intrepid is a little bit smaller, which is encouraging. The bridge looks about the same sort of size. You can imagine people inside, and the little engineering detail in between the two sets of nacelles look about the same. So I could pretend, I think, in my own head that these are more or less the same scale, which is quite good. So nice little addition, and I thought I'd be worth letting you guys know. I think that's quite interesting. So if the Intrepid is the same scale as the Enterprise, and the Enterprise I know is the same scale as the Warp Delta I have here, you can see the design lineage of 3 early Starfleet ships. So we've got the Warp Delta, which I've called the Neptune here, the NY class I believe it is, Intrepid, and then lastly the NX class Enterprise. So yeah, thought you'd be quite interested to find interesting hearing that. It's a nice little story to be told there, and I think it's definitely a great kit, this Intrepid, so really pleased with it. Anyway, that's it now. Thanks a lot. Bye bye.